What's up, guys? I'm Tim Geddes. I'm here with Colin Moriarty and a very special guest, Andre Meadows. Andre,
hey, how's
we're
it
going to
going?
talk about Nintendo today.
All right.
Introduce yourself to the people, though, that might not know.
Hi, in case you don't know, my name is Andre. I have the YouTube channel Black Nerd Comedy. I do reviews, interviews, sketches, rants, everything, all about geek culture, nostalgia culture, and gaming culture, including Nintendo, especially Nintendo.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy, as everybody knows.
Yeah.
Colin.
I'm what I call a lapsed Nintendo fan.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
At one point, Colin was in love with the big N.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, recent years have
broke up.
have
Yeah,
broken-
hello.
We're
Some
on
relationship
bad
troubles.
terms now. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? There's always room for a little rekindling
Absolutely.
of that.
You're always
love.
curious what your ex-girlfriend's doing.
Exactly. You know, you always check it
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You're looking at her Instagram.
Yeah.
Seeing
What's
what's
the
up.
relationship status of Nintendo right
Yeah,
now?
exactly. That's when Colin watches Nintendo Directs. That's what it is. It's like keeping up on the
I
ex-girlfriend.
love her scorned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah. But speaking of the Direct, what'd you think?
It was interesting. A lot of it is stuff we had seen before and heard about before. But Star Fox Zero, obviously, it was one of my faves, as well as Super Mario Maker, which I think is going to be like half of YouTube videos will be Super Mario Maker when that thing comes out of people making levels and also playing levels. But it was good. You know, because so much had already come out between that and the Smash Brothers Direct beforehand, which I felt I was really excited about that.
Me too.
I guess I was wanting for that one big like wow moment, and it was more like a hey, this is all good. Like it wasn't like a wow, but it's like this is good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Star Fox is one of my favorite franchises.
Oh, man.
So to see it come back, like we knew it was gonna come, but to
Yeah.
actually see it, I was like, yes.
I played it. It's
Yeah,
good.
so I was watching the Direct. I was a little worried about a couple things, like just
Okay.
the look of it and just the way it would control and all that. And then I got my hands on it. I'm like, all right, it looks great.
Yeah.
60 frames per second. It looks really nice. And the motion controls are very different, but not bad.
Yeah.
That's my thing. It's like when you first play it, it feels wrong because Star Fox, you're used to moving the ship and the reticle goes with you. But with this, it's a little bit more like a dual stick shooter. But instead of a second stick, it's moving the gamepad, and it kind of starts to feel intuitive after a while. I didn't have enough time with it for it to click and for me to be like, I love this.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited. It's definitely the game that I am looking forward to playing the most this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it's a lot of fun. Like that was the thing. Anytime I hear about the motion controls, I get a little nervous. But I did get to play it, and the way it works is that you're seeing the what's going on the screen on TV, but your gamepad is the cockpit view.
Yeah.
So you can actually move it around, and yeah, I was able to pick it up and get right into it, and it was actually a lot of fun. I felt like I was I was flying right there with Fox and the gang.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And then of course here they've got the giant seats that you can sit in and rumble and
Did you
everything
see
else.
this?
No, I haven't.
They have replica R wings set up.
And you can
So
go in them?
If you play you play Star Fox Zero, and they give you a little badge, and you get that badge, you can wait in line to like actually get in the cockpit and play the game. There's a big screen.
Wow, that's
and stuff.
pretty cool.
It's really cool.
So
yeah, I'm excited.
I'm curious, you know, what your expectations were for the Direct before it happened, because to me, it was exactly what I figured it was going to be. To me, Nintendo's in a very weird place right now. They're in between place. Wii U is dying on the vine. They can't really say anything about NX yet, so it seems to me that, you know, the Mario we all wanted is clearly not going to happen on Wii U.
Right.
All these kinds of things. So it was a very 3DS kind of centric
Yeah,
thing, buttressed by Mario Maker and Star Fox. So did you have expectations that were greater than that? Because it really met my expectations, which were not very high.
Yeah, Nintendo's always that weird one where I feel like they get a lot of criticism, but it's because everyone does have their expectations so high. I mean, this is the console that many people grew up with, and so you expect so much from them. So even when they give you an okay thing, people are like, oh, is that it? Oh, you know. But no, it was really some good stuff. But yeah, I think that is the same thing that we see happening. This happened with Xbox when they were transitioning from 360 to Xbox One, same thing with PS3 to PS4. You kind of get that lull period of there's still games coming out, but obviously some things are being saved for whatever the next big thing is. And yeah, that's sort of thing Nintendo's going through. So they've got some good stuff. You know, we got Star Fox, we got Yoshi, we got.
I mean, I think that's the biggest
Yeah.
issue with the Direct is that we didn't have that one big reveal surprise.
Right.
But
Well,
also,
we did, but we got it 2 days ago with Ryu being in Smash
Oh,
Brothers.
yeah, exactly.
Which then people got 3 days ago when they leaked it.
When it leaked, yeah, exactly. People would call it the leakend.
The
Oh my
leakend.
God, I
Yeah.
love that. That is the best thing ever.
Perfect.
But it's surprising to me that we just saw 3 games that we'd already known about. Well, I guess Star Fox was the first time we've really seen it, but we knew it was going to be
But they
there.
did mention it like at the very end last year.
Yeah,
at the Direct,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we had Star Fox, we had Yoshi, and we have Mario Maker. And it's like, we're kind of underwhelmed by that just because it's like, oh, we know, we've seen these before. But it's like, no, man, those games are all awesome.
Yeah, they're really good, but I think when people think E3 presentation, they expect to see something that they just never heard of before. And I feel like Xbox and PlayStation did that in some respect. And Nintendo was more like, oh, these are a lot of things I've seen before. You know, except for Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which has made a lot of Space Jam, Paper Jam memes, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that was probably, if there was anything I would say was missing, that would be the thing, is like what game that we never had heard of before from Nintendo popping up. Or even, I know that Zelda Wii U, which is it going to still be on Wii U, is still in its works, but being able to maybe even just see a little bit more of that would have been nice, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they said it wasn't going to be there, but that hasn't, you know, people lie all the time. So to see some little tease would have been nice, but it also isn't necessary, really, you know. Like, Colin predicted that they were going to close the show with a gameplay reveal, or not a gameplay, a reveal of Metroid Prime, and then just not say which system it's on.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
like a Watch Dogs situation where Watch Dogs was shown, and you knew it was next gen, but they just couldn't say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
well, we got Metroid Prime in there.
Rip off of Rocket League.
My God.
it exists.
Yeah.
The universe.
That was
the
such a
cinematic
Nintendo
universe.
thing. You know?
Yeah, it was like that was such a like an FU, like a Metroid Prime.
Whatever
something else.
subtitle. Ballbusters.
What do you think of the Nintendo Direct format? Because Tim and I were debating, you know, the strengths and weaknesses of the live performance, like the Microsoft, the Sony kind of live performance, the vamping and the reactionary kind of thing, as opposed to like the more polished, this is what we're doing, we put it together weeks ago, it's perfect. But there's not a lot of room to maneuver, there's not a lot of room to react. Like kind of like Aisha at Ubisoft, where she was clearly not scripted half the time.
Right.
Do you think that benefits Nintendo, that kind of format, or do you want to see them kind of come back in a big way with a great stage show?
You know, I think when they do have something really big, whether it is the next console or whatever it is, I think it would be cool for them to do either a presentation like the others do, or even just something live online. Because there is some advantage to that. I think there is some advantage to them being able to have these directs. I love watching them throughout the year. Like, it's really cool that they do directs about specific games. You get all the details. Like the Smash Bros. Directs and the Mario Kart 8 directs that came out were really good. But I think about when was it last year when the PlayStation just dropped the bomb on, like, you can play your games on here. There's no DRM after what Xbox had put out.
Yeah.
Like, that was a moment that couldn't have happened if they had, you know, filmed the presentation a couple weeks ago. But then they do have the Treehouse Live, and they do have live presentations going out. So that's the thing that you kind of have to keep in mind with Nintendo is it's not just that E3 presentation. They have directs before and after. They have the Treehouse Live throughout the week of E3. They have different ways because I think they feel that with their fan base, they're always clamoring for new Nintendo information. So they feel like they can probably put it out a different way than just having it right here at E3.
I love that. I love that throughout the year we get these like mini directs that sometimes are half hour of just focus on games. The Smash Bros. Direct that came out like a month before Smash Bros. Was released.
Yeah.
When it was like 30 minutes of just 50 big things.
50 plus facts.
And it was like, oh my God, that was like one of my favorite presentations ever because it's my favorite game. And it's just here, let's focus on it and just announce.
Yeah.
And they would never do that at a press conference or anything, you know? So like, I really appreciate that format. I just think it's weird then when you compare it to the press conferences of Sony or Microsoft because there is the audience and there is that engagement, but I don't think that it's that big of a deal at the end of the day. Like when you're looking at it, it's like it's the same thing. They're announcing games and they're talking about it. And they have you know Miyamoto and Reggie and all that are the same figureheads that we have over at Microsoft or Sony. Like we have these characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is weird to not have them, you know, make their weird jokes and have it feel like, oh well, they're nervous and live, or it's kind of weird when they just like make the jokes that fall flat, and that was the scripted planned.
Right,
like,
yeah. You can kind of give it a little leeway when it's live versus, you know, some people actually sat down and planned this out and it's still a want.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of weird.
You can't go wrong with Reggie Fils-Aimé and Miyamoto and Iwata puppets. I mean,
or
Nuppets. I heard they're called Nuppets.
My lord,
Nintendo
puppets. Of course they are. Of course they are.
What up, my Nuppets? You know, but yeah, I can understand that. Like, I wish that if you could maybe get a little blend of it. Maybe like one of the presentations, whether it's the E3 or something, is live. And then some of the other stuff is all set up. I could get behind that.
Well, so here's my thing, and I was busy when this was happening, so I didn't really get to watch too much of it. But what I think Nintendo did that was really cool this year is they had the Direct which was what everyone thought it was going to be, just the the package that is just on the internet and you can watch and chat live, but there's no audience. But then they did the Nintendo World Championships, and that was a little, I mean, it wasn't a press conference, but there was announcements made, there was reveals made, and that was when the audience was involved, and that was a fun thing, and they had the people come out, and there was those surprise moments and like things happening, and I think that's a really cool format that's different.
Oh yeah, I remember one of my friends actually tweeted that they probably sold more copies of Super Mario Maker from the Nintendo World Championships than anything they would have done at E3, because you got to see it live. You got to see people playing these insane levels that the Treehouse themselves put together.
Yeah.
And it just really showcased how that game is going to be. And then once you start figuring like, oh, people are going to be able to make these levels, they're going to be online, you can be able to share them. Like that kind of experience is really good at showing out the game. And that's something I hope that all of the companies eventually start figuring out. What are different ways? Because, let's be real, sometimes those presentations, they can have their good moments, they can have their live moments, but sometimes they're just very cookie cutter. You're going to get the same beats every single year. So I like it when they figure out different ways to showcase a game that makes me go, oh, I actually want to experience that. I want to play that. A cutscene is pretty, but if I can see someone playing the game and it's live and I can see the enjoyment of those people, that makes me want to play it. That's how Let's Players are.
Exactly. I mean, that's so right. And when the Mario Maker showing it at the World Championships, it's like all of us, like we were busy doing stuff.
I was screaming backstage when
everyone was like, oh my God, this looks awesome. This looks awesome.
It really does.
The Twitter was just like blowing up.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my God, like cheering for them to try to get through the stages. And it's like, that's something special. They really created this thing. And like, if they did that for games like Halo or whatever it is, like creating those moments, that's more important than just watching a demo be played,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like Jurassic World. We're kind of getting tired of the same old. We need an Indominus Rex. We need some more teeth.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, you were part of the World Championship.
I was.
Right?
I was one of the commentators. I was part of what they called the Underground, which is if you lost the main levels, you would go down and you had to play the retro games. We had Legend of Zelda, a speed run to the first dungeon. We had Super Metroid having to defeat Mother Brain and then getting out of the planet. And then we had Balloon Fight, whoever could get the most and the balloon trip on
cool.
Balloon Fight. So that was a lot of fun doing the commentary for that. That was very fun.
Do you think that the World Championships are something that they're going to keep bringing back?
I hope they do. I think it was like I said, I think it was a lot of fun, and I think it was a great way to showcase, because Street Ball, even though they didn't call it Metroid Street Ball, it was just Street Ball there, or Blast Ball. But I thought it was a cool way for them to showcase those games. It also just showcased their top tier games right now: Splatoon, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. So I hope they do it again. I think that could be a very cool tradition that happens. So
what did you think about it, Colin?
It was cool. I mean, I like the idea. I like, as an old school, NES is still my favorite console of all time. So it's like a throwback to that golden era of Nintendo when they were doing that. The World Championship. It's a nice throwback. What Nintendo has that no one else really has, although Sony, I guess, is getting it slowly because they're becoming older, is a real history.
Yeah.
And to be able to celebrate that history in ways that no one else can because it's just not chronologically possible.
Yeah.
Is their advantage. It's always going to be their advantage because even Nintendo's always going to be older than Sony and Xbox, and they're going to have a history that they can celebrate. So I think doing things like that is smart for marketing, but I also think smart to tap into the nostalgia that a lot of people feel for Nintendo, including me, as someone who feels deeply nostalgic about Nintendo and always will be. But I'm curious, since we have you here, what do you think about the future of Nintendo? What is it? Nintendo seems to me personally, and I don't know if you agree, as a company that the last 6 months or a year is finally starting to figure things out in terms of maybe we can't be so insular anymore. With their deal with DNA, for instance, to make mobile games, which I think is very smart and an obvious thing. Do you think that NX is going to be something that helps them redeem themselves, at least in the console space? We really don't know what the nature of this thing is.
Yeah.
Or do you see them in 3-5 years saying, like, maybe we could put Mario on a PlayStation?
It's possible. I think that there's always going to be some internal rumblings of what can be allowed. But I think we are going to start seeing Nintendo more in other things. And I don't even just mean gaming. I mean, we had the big announcement that they're going to be at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something Nintendo is realizing, is that they have a brand, like Disney, like anything else out there. People know these characters. People grew up with these characters. They cross generations because a kid today can play, a Mario game, a new Super Mario Brothers, when we played the regular Super Mario Brothers back in the day. So those characters are iconic. So you can start putting them into other forms. And so, mobile, I think, was a great idea. Will we see it on Sony? Will we see it on Xbox? I don't know. But, I mean, anything's possible. But I think that it's just nice for them to figure out that people do like these brands. And, yeah, we may get our Blast Ball every now and then. But then again, we might get something really cool featuring Nintendo characters. Or even just some of the stuff they're doing, like with the amiibo where like Yoshi can now dress up like Samus, or that, you know, in Super Mario Maker you can actually play Mario levels as Link or as Wii Fit Trainer, or stuff like that, or like how they did with the Monster Hunter where you can have all different characters. Like, I think Nintendo's going to start seeing that they can do more of that, and what it could help with is with some of the third-party titles. If more third-party titles can start incorporating Nintendo characters into their games, it gives you exclusives, like with the Skylanders recently having Donkey Kong and Bowser in there. That makes those titles now exclusive to Wii U, exclusive to Nintendo, and gives a bigger reason why, if you like those characters and you like those franchises, that you will want to get the game on a Nintendo system versus the others.
Exactly, like NBA Street Volume 3.
Yes,
of course, with, you know, the
Mario tucking on NBA players is always going to be a plus.
What is your this nebulous NX, whatever it's going to be? What is your vision of it? What is it that you want NX to ultimately be when they reveal
I don't know. They're very secretive, and I don't know what it's going to be. And aren't they saying that it's not going to replace Wii U or 3D, like 3DS? Like, it's still, or those?
It's something that it sounds like the old, like, what was it, GBA, GameCube, DS kind of, like they're all going to live together kind of. It didn't really quite, with 3 pillars or whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't really quite work out that way. But yeah, I mean, like, because I have a vision for what I think this thing is, and I'm curious what yours is.
I just think that it would be interesting if we are going to keep Wii U, if we are going to keep 3DS. I just feel like if there's some way that we can make this all one coherent system. I mean, that's the advantage that even over Sony with Vita that Nintendo has, is they have these great games on Wii U, these great games on 3DS. But it's very obvious that 3DS has sold a lot more. And it just seems kind of weird that you have this gamepad, and it's a great gamepad. It works really well, but then walk so many feet away, and it's done, you know? Right. So if there's some way that they can incorporate the Wii U and 3DS together, you can play your 3DS games on Wii U. You can take Wii U games on the go in some kind of form that somehow they can just kind of connect. That would be the ideal. That would be the ultimate, because it would get people wanting to have both consoles so they can be able to take all their games everywhere. And that's, again, an advantage that Nintendo can do, being very, you know, in one sync with that. So I don't know, but I don't know if that's what NX is going to be, but I just, that's what I would like to have.
It seems like that is the collective vision for a lot of people, because I was always saying it would be cool for me personally for NX to be something that is like the Wii U gamepad, something that's sturdier and maybe better, high fidelity and more powerful, but then you just take it. And then you could just beam it to your television or just take it. And I hope that is exactly,
sorry to interrupt. Who are these people? She just took a picture with them and she doesn't know.
That's Ratchet, and that's from Galaxy.
Ratchet and Galaxy, thank you guys.
Okay,
thanks, Nick. Thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of funny. Or anything can happen at any time, because Nick Scarpino is a crazy person. That's Ratchet. It's Ratchet. Yeah.
Ratchet for Ratchet and Clank, and the guy from Galaxy.
Yeah.
You're welcome. No, it's okay. Galaxy's somewhat obscure, so a lot of people wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know that. Yeah. So that was good. That was real good. How are you?
I'm good. We were going to take a break right now.
No break yet. The break's coming up. But so, do you also think that the NX is going to be this kind of portable console hybrid thing?
I think so, but I think they're being so, you know, because you're right on in to say that, like, well, Wii U's not going anywhere and 3DS isn't going anywhere, and I'm like, is it some sort of unifying structure, some sort of, like you were suggesting, is it something, Nintendo's so out of the box and so clever in a lot of ways that it might be something that we can't even really put into words or explain, because our minds aren't where they are right now in terms of putting these things together. In other words, I don't know necessarily that it's a piece of hardware that is standing alone. It might be some sort of infrastructure or system that might fuse what already exists.
Or maybe an add-on, a super Wii U Game Boy.
Exactly. But my hope and my prayer with all of that said is that it's a new piece of hardware. They can't abandon the Wii U right now, but they need to ultimately abandon the Wii U and move on to something else. And I guess that's kind of the next question is Nintendo in trouble, or are they going to be just fine, do you think?
I think Nintendo's got enough behind them. They're going to be just fine. But I do feel like Nintendo just needs to it's a difficult thing, because I think that they are trying to march to be their own drummer in a way, be the different type of system. But you do have people who are in the gaming that want all the systems to sort of hit the same drum. You know, there's always that console war, which I don't understand now. It's not like the days of Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. It's like all the games are out there. There's so many different games out there, including mobile, you know, so you can pick and choose. But I think there's still this want from some people that Nintendo needs to do something that makes them right at the top again. And I think that they're just figuring out to do their things a little bit differently that, you know, works with their brand, works with their system. And if they can figure out a way to do that, plus, you know, something that is successful, it will be good. But you know, those Wii's, say what you will about them, they were a lot sold. So I think that they're not going to be, you know, asking for any quarters or Kickstarter campaigns or anything.
The money is certainly not the issue, but as we said so many times, when you can have $15, $18, $20 million in the war chest, that can disappear like that if you don't have a product on the market.
And they also have something to deal with is that, you know, we're getting older, you know, so yes, we're nostalgic about Nintendo and growing up in the NES, stuff like that, but, you know, the kids of today are not going to have that same experience.
Yeah.
Mario is not going to be the same to them as it was for us. So Nintendo does have to figure out a way of how, with the current audience, do you get those iconic characters to have that same feel or something even stronger with a next generation, because you can't ride that, hey, we were big in the 80s thing only for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they do a pretty good job, specifically with Mario, of keeping him fresh and having the different types of games that he's in, and also including him in kart racers and party games, Smash Bros, all these things. And that keeps Mario as a brand relevant. And it does reach to the point where even if these young kids that have never played Mario 1, or God forbid Mario 3, they can go back and experience these things that are required gaming, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like Nintendo does a good job of, at least in some ways, of constantly re-releasing the old games that they're
the
like
virtual consoles,
the required stuff, you know, the Zeldas and the Marios and the stuff, and when it's time, Metroids and all that stuff. They do a good job of making sure that people are educated on what they should know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would love a world where NX is more of an ecosystem, maybe not so much like a cloud-based thing, but something like that where it's virtual console, but finally how we all want it.
Yeah.
Where you buy a game, you buy Super Metroid, and you can play it on your 3DS, your Wii U, your Wii, whatever it is. It's just you own that game. You can play that game.
I want that so bad because you know, as much as I love a lot of the old Nintendo games, it is frustrating at times to see a game on Virtual Console and go, do I buy this on Wii U or do I buy this on 3DS? You know, so it'd be nice to have a very seamless thing
well, it's the
on.
worst specifically with the Wii U, when you're trying to get a game, and then it's like, oh, it's available on the eShop, but only on the Wii.
On the Wii,
not the Wii U.
Then we got to go on the Wii mode. It's a whole thing.
It's like they need to figure that stuff out.
That's true. That's true.
And to be honest, I think that the storefront is something that none of the companies have truly figured out yet. I think Steam is the one that has it best.
Yeah.
But even that, it's a mess. Like if you're not familiar with PC gaming, you're not equipped to kind of go in there with the knowledge of finding what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You get so turned off because it's just too much to handle. The flip side of that is something like the eShop, and it's just like it's too many pictures of them trying to sell you specific things. Trying to actually find what you're looking for is a little difficult. Then PSN has all these issues too of just like way too many options.
Yeah.
You know?
PS1 classics work here, they don't work here. PS2 classics work here, they don't
and
work
then
here.
Xbox is going to have the same thing where it's like, well, we're backward compatible, but only with the games that are on their list. You know, it gets a little confusing with that. And I think that's something that they needs to figure out, because it's not like in the days of like, well, okay, this is a cartridge, so we can't upgrade it to the next system and everything else. Now that everything's so digital, it's great. I think it's a good idea to make as many games available as possible, even if they're older games. Because, you know, like I said, for the next generations, you want them to go back and play some of these classics and see the history of a game, or just see how a game from 10, 15, 20 years ago still holds up to this day. You know, you can still play an 8-bit Nintendo Mario game to this day, and it's still just as enjoyable as anything that's out there today. And that needs to happen. And that's what I'm really excited about Super Mario Maker.
Exactly, because that's going to introduce that to so many people.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo basically said, hey, you know what? You make the next Mario game. We're going to sit back.
And that's exciting to me, too, because this means that we'll forever have new Mario games, and there's going to be the dedicated people that get in there and make full games, you know, with levels like the full 8 worlds and all that stuff.
1-1 to 8-4.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you can switch the styles between the different types of Marios, and I'm interested. I don't know if the physics change between them.
No, I don't know. It seemed pretty standard to me, because I played some of the 8-bit version and the Mario 3 version, but it's really cool. And I just like the way that they have the system set up where when you make a stage, it goes up online. I think there's some kind of test that they make sure that it's a legit level that you can actually beat. And the difficulty on the level is actually determined on how many people play it and get through it. So if it's a lot of people are able to speed through it, it's considered an easier level. But if they find a lot of people are dying in the level, it makes it more difficult. And when you die in the game, it actually puts up little X marks to show you where other people who've played this level died as well.
Interesting.
So,
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to bump to a quick ad break. 30 seconds. We'll be right back after that. We're going to continue talking to Andre. This is going to be awesome. Talking all about Nintendo, the future. Stay right here. It's going to be great.